Okay, today's episode of Trash Talk Podcast is probably going to be the most fantastical episode we've ever done. I'm not particularly looking forward to some of those topics, but, well, we need to kind of find common ground on what we're going to talk about. So,
Also, I'm pretty sure the topics you look least forward to are the ones you picked.
Why are you interrupting me?
Because that's what I do.
The fuck? I'm doing an intro here. Are we going to do the whole thing again, or are we just going to go with it?
We can go with it.
Are we going with it? Alright, I mean, JJ needs to shut up at some points, because he's not supposed to talk before I ask him a question, right? And the question is usually always the same, which doesn't make it too hard for him to figure out when his cue happens. Alright, let me quickly reload mentally here, right? Alright. Welcome to Trash Talk Podcast. Don't dislike it already just because he missed his cue, alright, JJ? Yeah. How the fuck are you doing today?
Don't swear on YouTube, that gets us
demonetized, I know.
Because we're monetized.
How the freak are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
That's probably a recent occurrence, right? Alright, yeah, he's doing fine. Who would have thought? Alright. You know what? Just get us into it. I'm already off my track already.
So, our first topic is the apocalypse.
Yep.
And basically various hypothetical scenarios and how we would do in it and what we would do in it.
What are you doing in the apocalypse? Like, that's a good question, though. Like, that's gonna be the question of the week right away, to get that out. Imagine, like, a standard type of apocalypse. I don't know, zombie apocalypse is probably the most known scenario. What would you do? And what would your chances of survival be? And we're gonna talk about that, too. So, are we going to get started with the zombie apocalypse?
I mean, this whole topic was inspired by The Walking Dead. Watch our Let's Play.
Yeah, watch our Let's Play. What's this having duck for dinner, man?
So I would assume let's start with zombies, and let's start specifically with The Walking Dead rules.
Start with zombies, alright. First of all, here's a question we should always ask ourselves. What do you think the probability of that type of apocalypse actually happening? Like the zombie apocalypse?
Zombie apocalypse in itself is definitely not impossible, but it's relatively unlikely.
Yeah, it'd have to be caused by some kind of virus, probably.
And the most likely scenario is probably a fungus.
Fungus, yeah.
Because
Parasite.
there is already a similar fungus around
Who does
that
it to
attacks ants, yeah.
And
Which actually is, I think, what The Last of Us is based on. Because these zombies are literally taken over by fungi. That's not the point right now.
Yeah, whatever, right? But, okay, zombie apocalypse, possible. Not necessarily the most probable type of apocalypse that we're going to talk about today. But, okay. Your chances of survival in a zombie apocalypse. And I'm specifically talking about you, JJ.
Not very likely.
Not very good. Because?
Because I'm not very physically fit.
Right. You don't know how to use a gun.
And, yeah.
And you don't know how to run.
I do know how to run, I'm just not good at it.
You can't, yeah, you're not good at doing it. Okay, so...
Also, I'm not gonna trip over my shoelaces.
Yeah, but yes. What would you... Because you always use Velcro shoes,
Yep.
don't you? That's... Dude.
Way more comfortable.
Alright, that's so... Dude! Okay, you know what? This dude is 19 years old wearing shoes with Velcro strips. I mean, it's pretty much lost on him, isn't it? Alright. What would your strategy be in a zombie apocalypse? Surround yourself with people who are a lot better at all that stuff than you are.
Yeah, of course, in a zombie apocalypse, a group technically is always a good idea. Theoretically, the larger the group, the better. But, of course, there's always the risk of having, first of all, traitors. Second of all, just people who slow you down.
Ducks.
The best...
Larrys.
The best option, I think, would be to go to a location somewhat away from, like, bigger settlements like cities or even towns, like somewhat off.
Right, because at places where there used to be not a lot of people, there's not going to be a lot of zombies.
Exactly. And that position should also be easily defendable.
Yes.
Have access to clean water.
So constricted area, yeah, water, electricity would
like
be pretty
a source. Electricity, like a generator or something. Water generator is really good.
Yeah.
And then some kind of sustainable food source.
Ducks.
The best food source would probably be plant life.
Usually, yeah.
So you
it's the cheapest and easiest.
Basically just need a good amount of area around you with fertile soil.
Plant life, he said.
Yes, so what?
Just saying, go on. I find that an odd word to use, but alright.
So you're basically living on a farm that's easily defendable.
Which is pretty cool. Which is a life that I might possibly choose at some point outside of any apocalypse, because it's a cool type of life, in my opinion.
And I already have a specific location in mind, but I'm not going to reveal that on the air.
We're not going to reveal the exact coordinates, are we?
No.
I'll post them in the description. Alright, what? Yeah, alright, continue talking, yeah. Okay, I mean, I would agree with you on that for the most part. Let's make up the scenario, right, that the both of us are trapped in that apocalypse. Like, by ourselves. But, like, as a group, but by ourselves. Like, just the two of us, right?
Okay.
So
everyone we basically know is dead.
Yeah, or just, like,
or available.
During the Clementine's parents and just whatever, right? So...
We are dead, but yes.
Allegedly. Yes, they are, right? Are they?
She saw her mother in
we've already uploaded the video anyway, so if people watch this podcast before they watch the video...
Yeah, it's kind of their fault.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, if they still want to play the game, they wouldn't want to watch the Let's Play bit.
Okay. Doesn't matter who you are, Austin. Okay, we already know where we would go.
Yes.
That place, the coordinates in the description. We know that place. So... It's easily defendable, but one thing that we would have to learn is how to operate guns. Because neither of us are fondly into guns. We weren't raised like that, because some kids are. With like guns all over the house, and that's like a huge part of the family tradition, not for us. So...
Although, to be fair, if the place where you are is sufficiently fortified, melee weapons might suffice.
Yeah, like axes.
Yeah, I mean, the best melee weapon probably is a katana, because it does the cleanest cuts, but yeah.
You're such a fucking idiot.
Why?
You just wanted to drop a Japanese name. That's all you wanted to do. You could have just said sword. Like, you could have just said sword. That's all you said there. Here's the thing, right? You could have just said a sword. But, being the mark that you wanted to...
First of all, the word you searched was weeaboo. Second of all, katanas are relatively light and sharp.
So? Are swords not sharp?
Not light, though.
Can swords not be light? Just being a bit, lighter? Can they not?
I mean, scimitars kind of would go in the direction, but those are still, like, probably double the weight of a katana.
Swords. That's just your problem because you're weak. And, like, you probably could lift an actual knight's sword over your head and critically damage people with that.
Yeah.
Without flinging yourself around.
Also, but still, lighter weapons usually offer you, like, faster strikes and stuff.
You could just have an axe. Like if we were trapped...
Hand axes work as well.
If we were trapped in this together, and I would be in charge of the weapons department, because I'm not gonna let you be in charge of that, probably for the first couple of weeks, like, all I would give you would be, like, a little wooden hammer. Or, like, a water pistol. Something like that, because I would not trust you with sharp edges or...
To be fair, I take a stick, like a quarterstaff, something like that. Like
yeah, sure.
Because at the end of the day, you can still push zombies around with that, which is all you need to do to escape.
Sure.
Killing them, of course, is better overall.
Of course, right.
I mean, you take what you can get.
So that's the zombie apocalypse part. I think I could do quite well. It's definitely hard to do this, to having to do that by myself. And being out in the woods, right? Because that's what happens to people a lot when they can't find a place to stay. That happens in The Walking Dead, and that might happen in real life too, so they can't find a place.
The point is, if you can't get a sustainable food source, you will have to go around looting food.
Yeah, or like collect shit and hunt. Which is always dangerous because in the open woods...
Yeah, anything that requires you to go out is a risk in zombie apocalypse, of
also,
course.
in real civilization, that's true.
Yeah.
For you, at least. Okay, any other type of apocalypse that we might want to talk about? Or do you have anything more to the zombie one?
No, not really. I mean, an obvious one would be like a nuclear apocalypse, but those are not very interesting.
The problem is, right, nuclear apocalypse, pretty hard to survive that.
I mean, the idea would be like something like Fallout, where you're like in a Fallout shelter or something.
Right, but nuclear winter, though.
And,
right?
Yeah, that's the thing, you probably wouldn't be able to come out within your lifetime.
That's gonna pretty much destroy... You're gonna sit in your bunker and eat canned beans for the rest of your life. if you're one of the lucky few who already have a bunker.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? That's an apocalypse scenario, but probably not one that's very interesting to talk about.
It's not that much of an apocalypse as it's just like human stupidity eventually coming back to bite the species in the ass. Basically.
Another one would be aliens, but those are like really hard to predict. Like, what would happen?
Like aliens, like the worst possible scenario would probably be them just being hostile towards us, them being vastly superior to us, which, that may as well happen.
Be like along the lines of guerrilla warfare, which...
Of course, right, but they might just be that advanced that we don't stand any chance. Like, they can just, with one shot of some type of laser cannon, destroy the entire planet. Immediately.
Not interesting to talk about because that would just be weird. Like, we're dead.
Is that even the apocalypse at all, or is it just like?
I don't know.
Like
how? We should have probably looked up the actual definition of apocalypse.
The definition of apocalypse. I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm doing it live. We'll do it live. Okay. Another one that I really wanted to talk about and that we can actually talk about probably would be the AI type of thing.
Okay. So like, the AI takes over?
Yeah, sentient robots. Artificial intelligence, for those who don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, there's also a variety of scenarios, like with aliens. So you're probably assuming that they are having robot bodies, probably similar to humans. And they are controlling our society and ruling over us, using us as, like, what, laborers?
Possibly, or just eradicating us because... an AI that's more intelligent than us will have the knowledge that we have the ability to switch it off, and to prevent that from ever happening, it will probably eradicate us.
I mean, it could upgrade itself to a point where we wouldn't have the ability to switch it off, but if it's trying to eradicate us, like, probably most of humanity is fucked really fast.
Anyways, yeah. Okay, here's, you know what? Game break, right? The definition of an apocalypse is... It is usually a disclosure of something hidden, like the revelation of information or whatever. That's what an apocalypse is. A vision of heavenly secrets that can make sense of earthly realities. It's a religious definition.
I was about to say, because the last chapter of the Bible is called Apocalypse.
I know.
That's not really helpful.
That's a topic for the future, like Bible. Praise God, praise Christ. we spread the gospel in our free time. Fact.
Not a fact.
Not a fact. Where were we?
AI.
AI.
So if the AI tries to kill us, there's basically no chance. It would also be like guerrilla warfare, but we would relatively easily be eradicated.
And again, it would be the type of case where humanity creates their own doom.
And if they were using us as like laborers or something, the only thing we can try to do is get on the good side of the robots.
The only thing but the only thing that we could possibly be useful to them is our biology, our natural biology. That's all they could ever be useful.
Physical labor, because building all the robots sensitive for that requires a lot of parts, and humans are already there.
Yeah, but
so using us as a workforce to save the resources for other stuff would make sense.
But depending on how intelligent they are, they might find completely new ways to do stuff, right?
Yeah, of course, but then we're assuming that they can think of stuff beyond our comprehension.
Just fusing together...
Which we can comprehend,
right.
So it's
just fusing together any object they want just from the particles floating around.
Yeah, but again, it's futile to talk about scenarios that are not comprehensible.
Even though I like those types of scenarios.
I know, but they're real brain benders.
I like bending my brain, though. You gotta work on your brain. You also gotta work on your body.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. I mean, okay. Well, that's yet another topic. But, okay. Say AI apocalypse, right? So, there's that idea of where there could be a kind of a utopian outcome to that.
Okay.
Which I have...
From the human point of view?
Yes.
Okay.
But that would be like a more of a out there scenario again. Like where we get to the point where we can actually cop our consciousness and transfer it into kind of a computerized system.
Yes.
And then join together to create another super sentient AI based super organism. Like in a kind of a world where humans and AI could like exist together, which kind of creates a whole new species, right?
Yes.
That would be an interesting thing to kind of. It would be like the super organism that people can join somehow if we manage to like transport like thoughts, consciousness, like brain contents
Yeah.
at will and all that
I get
stuff.
what you're getting at,
Yeah.
but like the whole collective thing is always a bit iffy. That's
I know.
going against all of the individualism and personal freedom and all that.
Of course,
stuff.
right? But that's the thing.
Which, for depending on who you ask, is a dystopia.
For me, it would be probably.
Yeah, of course.
But that would be one of the better outcomes, even though it's way out there. But the most likely, I would say, but scenario of, I mean, we are going to make progress in our technology and developing like more and more aware, like I'm gonna say aware, but computers.
Yeah.
More and more intelligent. There's already computers that are more intelligent in certain subjects.
Yeah, of course, but the problem is
Humans
once
are.
you get a universal AI, like that's not like specifically limited to one thing,
Yeah.
but that just has the general thought process similar to humans, where they can
Yeah.
tackle all kinds of issues.
And like that many million times more brain power.
A non-specialized AI with more brain power, and then the actual problem, which most of the apocalyptic scenarios are based off, is when the AI start building better AIs.
Yeah, and the AI starts learning about, what humans are, and that it is superior to humans, because once it knows what humans are and what they do, AI would most likely eradicate them.
Because humans are bad.
Humans have anything that humans have ever met has taken bad consequences from that.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a thing that ever encountered humans that was better off afterwards. Nothing. Like, it's true, right?
Not even humans.
Not even humans. I mean, killing each other for hundreds of thousands of years. Right? So, that's the thing, right? How do you most safely, if you were to construct a type of self-sentient, like, aware AI that was able to, consciously learn, how do you, you can't give it access to the internet or anything, right?
No, that's the most horrible idea you could have.
You could have it, run it on a safe the disclosed server, and then maybe give it, access to, an encyclopedia for it to learn.
Yeah.
Right? But at some point, right, it will still once it gets out there and learns everything in, basically no time, we're pretty much done.
Yes.
Right?
You would have to somehow construct an AI that doesn't turn against humans, which
It's hard.
It's the base idea of Asimov's robot laws, but those wouldn't practically work.
But here's the dilemma with that, right? If we constructed some kind of main commands that the AI doesn't, as a computer program, right, instruct that it's friendly to humans, it's like a servant to us. As soon as that self-awareness is developed and takes place, that AI will be able to question those commands, right, and override them, right?
Yeah, and also the problem
dilemma.
is that there's no way to make those really clear to the point where they wouldn't be up to interpretation. So even if that part of the programming was unchangeable,
which it's not going to be as soon as the AI is self-aware.
but even if it was unchangeable, then still do no harm to humans. That's up to interpretation.
Yeah, it's what?
So,
but if that's not something that we need to discuss, because that as soon as the awareness happens, that's out the window.
yeah,
You could never no matter how you program an AI that you are planning to make sentient at one point, as soon as that happens, with its higher intellect and higher sentience, it will be able to easily to question all that and easily override it and pretty much eradicate anyone and erase everything that we programmed into it, easily.
yeah. So I think we're starting to run in circles.
What type of apocalypse would be your favorite? What if you picked one of those, and we are always expecting it's going to be the worst possible outcome? Which one?
I think it's probably going to be the zombie apocalypse, because it's out of all the apocalypse you can imagine, that's comparatively safe.
Yeah.
And it's also probably the one that I thought about the most and have had
Yes.
the most contact with because there is so much fiction about it.
I would definitely also pick zombies because with the AI, it's just too far out there to like debate about what would happen because we just can't do that at the moment.
And a lot of other ones like aliens.
Yeah, things like
Same
natural
thing.
catastrophes,
Natural catastrophes
volcanic
are often
eruptions.
just straight up deadly.
volcanic eruptions, meteorites, and all that stuff. That's no fun. That's no moss because you just die, right? I pick zombies because I imagine it to be kind of fun would be a bad word to describe it because it would still be pretty bad, but it would be an interesting life, provided you would stay alive. And I feel like I could do well compared to other humans in the zombie apocalypse.
I think the most critical thing about the zombie apocalypse is literally the first few months.
Yeah, I feel like we could do kind of well in that type of scenario. Like we'd be better off than a lot of people.
I think once I survive the first 1 or 2 weeks, I would probably
like
be
establish some type
relatively
of safe spot. Yeah. Okay, so let us know your opinions on what would be your favorite type of apocalypse, basically, if any. Make up something that we didn't come up with or whatever. And then we are going to go into the halftime show, which I'm very much looking forward to because today I get to prove to everyone, the whole world, and specifically JJ, that I know what Doctor Who is, which he will not believe that I do. And we have been talking about and teasing this for a while, and it's happening right now. You've seen it in the description and in the title of the video. It's happening right now. JJ, still, you do not believe that I know what Doctor Who is.
Exactly.
And
I mean, I do believe that you know basically what the basics, but I don't think
and
you've
you
ever
could
seen
not
Doctor
be
Who.
further from the truth.
Okay.
So he's gonna ask me questions.
Yes.
Yeah, like he's making them up too because he's a huge Doctor Who fan. I'm not that much of a Doctor Who fan. I'm not that much into it, so I will not know the same amount of things that he does, but I know what it is. So JJ,
Yes.
this is your topic to lead, and I'm gonna be answering out here, and it's your, like, people watching, all two of you, it's your job to decide on, do I know Doctor Who or do I not? Spoilers, I do. All right, bring it up.
So, the first thing, not really that related to how much you know, but just because it's relatively recent as of us recording this, what do you think of the casting choice for the 13th Doctor?
I think it's kind of interesting to go with a female this time instead of like males, which is usually predominant role playing that. But like, I think we have to wait how the scenarios play out because usually you have the classic role of a male doctor and female acquaintances and assistants and all that stuff. So it's definitely a change up, and I'm kind of curious to find out how this works. What do you think? What's your opinion on that?
I just remembered that I think I told you that last Saturday. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's generally also a good idea. I have not seen the actress before in any other roles.
Neither did I, though.
So I don't know, but I was also hoping for another actress to take the role. I was thinking of Hayley Atwell could probably do a great job at it.
Who's that?
That's the actress who played Peggy Carter in the
You know that stuff doesn't help me, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like me asking,
how am I supposed to tell you who an actor is if you haven't seen anything they've been in?
Me asking these questions is stupid anyway. But all right.
Exactly.
I also haven't started like watching that yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
So you mean you're saying you haven't watched Doctor Who?
The season.
Okay, so
I started watching the season number 13. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for saying that.
Which is currently, so you don't have to ask me any, yeah.
So how much of Doctor Who have you seen?
I have seen several episodes of Doctor Who.
Okay.
I cannot disclose any specific number because I don't know the specific number.
Yeah, of course. Which Doctor was in those episodes that you've seen?
Most of the time it was Doctor number 8.
You're making it so easy.
What am I making easy? It was the 8th Doctor. It was the 8th Doctor. That's the most of what I remember. But there was other ones too. Like I'm not watching it as one progression, but that's most of what I remember.
So you've already said two things that don't really make sense, but anyways.
Which ones?
The 8th Doctor being in most of the episodes of Doctor Who that you've seen, and
Why not?
the 13th season.
Why not? You don't know how many episodes I've seen.
Because the 8th Doctor was never in the actual TV show.
Yeah, sure, right, but does it matter?
He was only in the movie, so...
Yeah. So?
That means he can't be in the majority of episodes that you've seen.
I may have seen the movies. And just split them up into like 30-minute parts.
It's one movie.
Yeah, but I've just watched 30 minutes of it and come back days later and watch the other 30 minutes. Like, how is that so hard to understand?
Also, think about the 13th season, because the 13th season is not the most recent season.
Yeah, that's true. Because I didn't even start the 12th one.
Of course you haven't.
No, of course I haven't. I'm stuck in like season 10 or something like that. Like, of course, like, it's gonna take me a while to get to the 13th season.
So the most recent season of Doctor Who...
Yeah.
Is, if I'm not mistaken, season 10.
Yeah.
So,
alright.
Of course, you haven't seen any episodes beyond that.
Exactly, right? So I'm saying, if they're not even out, how am I supposed to have seen them? Like, what type of question is that? Dude.
You, on your own, said you haven't...
I feel like JJ doesn't know a lot about Doctor Who right now.
So, which is your favorite Doctor?
My favorite Doctor? Probably the third.
Okay.
Probably. I generally like the idea. So I mean, I don't care a lot about actors in general, right? Because I think like anyone who is halfway capable of portraying a character, is doing an alright job of it.
So
like there's only very few roles in movie and series history that needed a specific actor. Like Forrest Gump needed Tom Hanks specifically, but Doctor Who, or actually just a Doctor, if I may tell you that, right? Because I wasn't sure if you knew that, but I don't know if you know that, but actually it's just a Doctor, and people will just ask Doctor Who, and that's how that name comes to be. Because, you know, he's not actually human.
Yes.
He's not human, he's an alien.
Do you also know what race he is?
He's from a non-human race from another planet.
That is in fact true.
That's true. And the planet's name starts with a G, I believe. I haven't heard of it that much because I don't read about it. I just watch it sometimes when I feel like it. Like I just watch it. I've seen it before, and the planet's name starts with G, and it's like something with. It's like a word, like a relatively short word with a G in it, and he's an alien. That's what I know.
The planet's called Gallifrey.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is not relatively short, but sure.
It's relatively short. It's relatively
compared
short.
to, say, planets like Earth or Mars or Venus.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But here's the thing, right? Did you know that Doctor Who premiered in the same year that President Kennedy was assassinated?
That's a fact that I like to recite often, which is why you know that.
That is 1963.
I know.
Did you also know that the first couple of episodes were actually in black and white?
Yes.
Because color television wasn't invented yet.
Which you could have deduced just from that year. Also, I
literally
said that like probably a few hours before we started the recording.
Possible. Allegedly. Prove it. I don't know. Okay. You were saying.
There has been 2 TV shows that have been called Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was cancelled after a while, and the new one started in like 2005. So you're saying have you seen episodes of the old show?
No, I haven't. I was born in 1999. Like, dude, I was like...
I always forget that you're born in 99. I was thinking you were born in 98.
You were born in 98. The point is, right, I was like 6 years old when that new show dropped, right? Yes. And I didn't start watching Doctor Who before age 12. Around age 12.
And you're saying the third Doctor is your favorite?
Probably because, you know, knowing of him, never actually having watched it because he was in the old show, right?
That's the thing. You're really good at deduction.
I mean, I know that he's my favorite from just reading about him a little bit, never having seen him actually in the show because he was in the old show, and the other one just started in 2005, which was when I started watching, like even later than that.
So do you know how many? Do you know which Doctor was the first in the new show?
No, I did not, because I didn't start watching in 2005. I started, like I said, at around age 12, which would have been in 2011, if I'm not mistaken.
So who was the current Doctor then?
Like in 2011, like dropping, or me starting watching? So I didn't start watching the current episodes when they dropped. I started to watch it with a bit of delay.
Okay, so what was the first Doctor you saw?
The 8th.
Okay.
It was in the movie though, because he didn't, like, if I remember correctly, didn't appear in the show. He just appeared in the movies.
Which is what I just said a few minutes ago.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. It was a movie though. Movie was the first thing I saw.
So I assume you don't know who was the current Doctor when.
When I started watching, no, because I wasn't up to date with the current season.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I started watching with the 9th Doctor, and back then the current Doctor would have also been like already like the 10th or 11th.
All right.
Don't exactly know which year that was when I started watching. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's completely besides the point. Who is your favorite villain?
Ah, man, my favorite villain. Man, I like them all. I like most of them actually. I mean, like, I like the dude from like was like 3 or 4 years back. You know what I'm talking about, right? The guy who was like relatively tall. Like, what's his name? What was his name? Haven't seen that much of him, but I liked his character. Like, can you help me out here? What was his name again? This dude, relatively tall, like middle-aged. It's like 2013 around that time. Who am I thinking of? What's his name?
Now you're just making up generic descriptions.
What was his name again? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Also, there have.
I mean, I can see him. I can see him in front of me right now.
Describe him a bit more.
Ah, man, yeah, he's pretty tall. Usually wearing like kind of dark clothing, kind of slender frame. You know,
like hair color or something.
Man, it's like pretty dark. I think pretty dark. Yeah, he's usually pretty dark, like appearance in general.
Can't think of someone from around that time who would fit that description. Although
it was a white guy.
Yes.
Look kind of weird. Like you know what I mean? Like weird for like he's a supervillain, right? So of course he looks weird.
I wouldn't use the term supervillain to describe.
He's a villain. I just like to use the word supervillain because I really liked him.
Okay, like let's not go into specific characters, but the favorite like group of like recurring enemies.
Man, all right. Favorite group, I'd say probably these dudes from when was it? Like 5 years ago. I do also really like the kind of current ones from the 12th Doctor that he messed around with a lot, right? It's kind of because that's like where I'm kind of stuck at the moment. That's where I've seen like 1 or 2 seasons of the 12th Doctor. But yeah, like that's I mean I like those dudes.
Which of the companions of the 12th Doctor did you like better?
I think that one lady who was like kind of short. You know, kind of long hair. Yeah, what's her name again?
That describes a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I know. I got the picture in front of me right now. I just can't come up with the name right now. You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not good with names, you know that. But you know the character, the one that's like with the Doctor a lot and talk like usually like around him when he's walking around in this place. Like, and it's like there, like, yeah, like we should do this and
also,
this and this. That.
While you're not good with names, one of the most iconic set pieces probably in the show, his time machine.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's called?
The time machine?
Yes.
Oh man, I seen him travel time, but did he ever name the name? It's this time traveling thing, right?
Yes.
I did know that it traveled time, by the way, because I've seen that before. But what's the time machine called? It's like, is it the Time Traveler 3000?
No.
Oh, no, I'm taking this from another show. That's probably another show that I'm thinking of. Like, I get these mixed up. As I said, I'm not very good with names. What was it again?
Well, the full name is, and there's technically 2 versions of the full name, but it's Time and Relative Dimensions in Space, or some versions it was called Time and Relative Dimension in Space.
It's almost like some kind of scientific thing.
Or, for short, TARDIS.
Oh yeah, TARDIS.
Which is a name that they drop like probably multiple times.
That's what I heard. I didn't know it was a short form of the actual thing, but I've heard the word TARDIS. Like I literally have.
I think you've been going in circles for long enough for a halftime thing.
Am I? I mean, of course, right? If you won, but okay. So I believe that more than enough. I have proven my case that I know stuff about Doctor Who. JJ, do you acknowledge now that I know my way around a Doctor Who?
No.
Or should I say the Doctor? Because that's actually who he is, not the Doctor Who. Because that's just what people ask him, Doctor Who? And he's like, yeah, it's the Doctor. That's why.
I mean, supposedly, spoilers, Missy claimed that he originally called himself Doctor Who, but then thought that it was a bit too on the nose and then dropped the Who.
I like Missy. Like I've seen a couple episodes with her. Yeah, pretty good character. Pretty good character. She was around Doctor Who like a lot. She knew a lot about him, which that's an interesting side character always. Yeah. So I feel like he's laughing, but like he just won't acknowledge that I know about Doctor Who. Okay, here's the thing, right? Do I know more about Doctor Who than you do about football?
Probably.
Probably.
And most of this is stuff that you quoted from some things that I said at some previous point, because you have relatively good memory retention.
But here's the thing,
don't.
right? Explain to me how I did know that the 13th current Doctor was female.
I told you. I think I mentioned that in passing last Saturday.
Then why'd you ask me?
Because I forgot that I told you before, because I don't have a good memory retention.
Okay, then how did I know that the 8th Doctor was usually from the movies?
Because I said that, like, by now probably 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, because we talked about it, right? But I said that's what most of it I've seen. So, most of Doctor Who that I've seen was movies, actually. Okay, you know what? We're gonna stop this because you just won't, he won't believe me, whatever, right? He will not believe me. It's on you people right now. You've heard the whole discussion and you know the truth. So just let me know in the comment section, do I know Doctor Who or do I not? So type in Doctor Who if you believe I know, and type in Doctor No if you believe I don't. But yes, I do. Of course I do. Of course I do. Alright, are we going to go into the fact of the week next?
Of course we're going to go into the fact of the week next.
Here's my fact of the week. I know Doctor Who. That's not my fact of the week.
So what is your fact of the week?
My fact of the week is it says the word blue on the microphone that we are using to record our videos, even though that microphone is pretty much completely white.
Because that's the brand name.
The brand name is blue and the thing is white. It's just confusing. It's like one of those like tests when you're supposed to test your like mental abilities.
I know what you're talking about.
And it says a word, like it says the name of a color in a different color. It says like,
and you're supposed to say the color that...
Yeah, it says like in a blue font it says the word red, and you're supposed to name the color that the word is displayed in. It's weird, right? And the writing on the microphone is silver too, but the actual thing is usually white. It's like called the blue snowball too. Like, have you seen a blue snowball? I haven't. It's like, what? Like, all right, you know what? Your turn. Fact of the week.
So my fact of the week is about a thing that you also like, and it's about wrestling.
I like wrestling.
And it is that a lot of major world titles, examples including the TNA world title, which I think is now called the Impact Grand Championship.
GFW. TNA is now GFW, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
As well as the WWE Championship and the WCW Championship that is now part of the WWE Championship, all trace their origins back to the original NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Alright.
So, for TNA, for example, it was that when they split from the NWA, they basically just, when the last title defense was, they basically just swapped the belts.
Right.
And they recognized like all the NWA title reigns that happened while they were having the world title, just as TNA title reigns. And I think WCW did something similar.
Yeah, it gets kind of confusing with that stuff with like Cena and Flair and all like the title.
Yeah, because for example, Flair, I think some of his NWA runs are also considered TNA runs, which is why he has I think 19 world title reigns, but 16 are recognized
16 in the WWE.
By the WWE, so yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So a lot of the major world titles trace their way back to the NWA world title. And I think there is also a nice graphic on the NWA World Titles Wikipedia page that shows how it was split into some titles, and then how they all formed back into WWE Championship, like the WCW title and the WWE title.
Yeah.
All the splits, and that's just a nice
It's a bit
flow
confusing,
chart.
but they had the thing with like the Undisputed Championship and all that going on.
There's like a few splits, and then they re-merge.
They do that all the time. Though it's like they making new titles up every single time, and then they're merging them together.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting that a lot of the titles that are now considered prestigious are based on what used to be the most prestigious titles in all of wrestling, which is now like barely recognized.
Yeah, but it sticks around.
It still exists, but it's not really prominent.
Okay,
anymore.
are we going to get into the next topic?
Yes, we're gonna go into the next topic, and this was your idea.
And it's absolutely your topic.
Yes.
It's his topic, but it was my idea because I want to learn about it, and he's going to teach me about it. What is it?
So, Alex asked me to talk about D&D, and he wanted to...
I ask you, yeah, that's true.
And he wanted to ask questions then, and
Is
hopefully in the process
that's for Dungeons and Dragons, by the way.
Oh, yeah, should have probably mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yes, it stands for Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Which is,
D&D.
according to Wizards of the Coast, the world's greatest role-playing game.
That's what they label themselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dungeons and Dragons is currently in its 5th edition. Yep. Although the numbering's a bit weird, but anyways.
Alright.
And that's what I'm gonna base it off, anything that I say.
RPG for short.
Because Dungeons and Dragons, I started playing in 5th edition, so that's most I know about.
Alright, so hit me with it.
So, well, first of all, Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game, that's relatively obvious.
It's an RPG.
Thank you.
For short. I already mentioned that too. If you paid attention, people know it already. People know it.
I just thought I'd say it for completion's sake.
It doesn't complete it, it just reiterates it.
So, it of course requires you to roleplay, usually.
Play roles.
Yes, thank you.
Saying, yeah.
And so it also has a lot of few rules, mainly for combat, but it also has rules for social interactions and stuff. Right. And
sounds like a real life thing.
Basis, and the rest is basically just make believe.
Yeah.
There are
sounds like real life.
There are pre-printed modules, but you can also play your own adventures.
Sounds like real life.
Stop saying that.
It's true.
So the basic setup is you have one dungeon master usually, and then a few players.
Sounds like real life.
Average group size usually is between like 4 and 6.
Drinking Coke out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the dungeon master sets up the scenarios, and the players basically play them, and then the dungeon master determines the outcome.
So he's like kind of the boss. He's like in charge.
Yes, he's basically the referee and the storyteller at the same time.
Right. Okay.
And every player plays a character.
Yeah.
There are cases where players play multiple characters, but that's very rare.
Here's my question. Okay, I got a question, right? When do the dragons appear? I want dragons.
The dragons, I mean, first of all, it's not necessary for dragons to appear at all.
But is the title of the game. Do dungeons appear?
Dungeons usually do appear, but it's technically also not a necessity.
Can we always force there to be dragons if we can make our own adventures?
Of course, the dungeon master can always force there to be dragons.
I want there to be dragons.
For example, the 5th edition starter set includes a little pre-built adventure for levels 1 to 5 that features a young green dragon as an enemy.
So this is his name Puff by any chance? Is he magic?
Yes, he's magical. No, his name is not Puff. I don't know if his name was even named in the adventure.
If not, we can name him Puff. But okay.
Of course.
It's Puff the Magic Dragon I'm referencing there. But hey, it's a good song by the way. Check it out. Not my song of the week. Not a sponsor. Okay, continue.
So every player creates, before the game starts, creates a character.
Mm-hmm. Like any character of my choosing?
So
give him a name, all that's it?
Yes, so you get a character sheet.
Right.
And then you choose a class, a race, and a background.
What's eligible? So
in the player handbook, there is a list of classes and backgrounds and races you could use. Backgrounds are not as important, but so there are also
upper class white athletic family.
Not exactly. So
I'm gonna edit that out possibly.
So For example, in the player's handbook, races that are listed are elves, dwarves, humans, dragonborns, halflings, gnomes, and half-orcs and half-elves.
Okay, so the only thing that interests me about this is dragonborns, right? Are they cool? Are they powerful?
Um,
Because if not, I'm gonna pick human all day.
Dragonborns are basically humanoid dragons. So it's like they're like humans, but they have scales and their heads look like dragon heads.
That's pretty cool.
They also have tails sometimes.
They have special powers?
They can breathe. They have a breath weapon. So, for example, red dragons or gold dragons could breathe fire.
What's the most powerful type of character?
From the race, in the player's handbook, people have different ways of determining what would be the strongest, but
Right.
it's generally assumed that the variant human is the strongest.
Right.
Because there's a basic line human and there's
Okay, I was gonna
optional
pick that
variant.
anyway, but alright, let's go. Let's get into the next one.
And
Class. Is there a
classes are available, and I'm probably gonna miss at least one. In the
You
player's
don't have to count them, all of them. Just like
handbook is barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, ranger, rogue, paladin, fighter, warlock, wizard, sorcerer. I think that's.
I'd probably
I
go.
think I just missed exactly one.
I'd probably either go fighter or wizard. Probably fighter.
So, for example,
So I'm a human fighter.
which is the most generic thing you can play, but yes.
Doesn't matter.
So the fighter,
yeah.
for example, has a subclass called Eldritch Knight, which would be a bit of wizard theme, which
Right.
you could do. That's also the thing. Every class has subclasses, which you usually pick at 3rd level, although some do it earlier.
Yeah.
So you create your character, you determine your stats. I mean, we can't really simulate all that without the character sheet,
Yeah.
but
Sure. You just can create your stats however you want them to.
so
Like 99s across the board.
first of all, stats usually go between 1 and 20.
20s across the board.
And second of all, there's multiple ways to determine the stats.
Right.
There is something that's referred to as point buy, where you have a certain value of points, and then based upon that, you can buy your
Distribute
stats.
them. Yeah.
There is the standard stat array, which is what I'm currently using in our current campaign, which is that you can,
Campaign, he said.
which is that between your 6 stats, you can distribute a 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8.
Alright. I mean, you're getting very specific here. Just tell me about how the game works. Like, I've got my character. Now, what we do. You told me already that the game is not competitive.
Yes.
Which is not my type of game at all, but I would still be open to learn it.
You could theoretically play a competitive thing, but it's not
Like, what's the point of
sustainable for
what's the point of a
adventure.
game if you can't match up against others?
You aren't fighting against the other players, but you are fighting against monsters or like other types of enemies,
Right.
which are controlled by the dungeon master.
Alright, so he's kind of also he's also the villain.
He controls the villains.
That's not a good idea.
The dungeon master is supposed to be neutral,
Yeah.
but depending on who you ask, some play it more antagonistically, that they actually try to kill the players.
Right.
Others play more supportively, trying to keep the players alive.
Yeah.
Of course, without
Okay,
like
I got
being too
another
soft on them.
question, right? I've seen you got like dice and all that stuff
Yes.
for a game. How do you ever need dice with just an adventure type of game where you just basically tell a story?
So, when you do things, the success of your actions is determined by a dice roll.
Alright.
So, say you're doing something trivial, you don't roll. You're doing
Okay.
something that's impossible, you also don't roll. Because it's like, you can't do it.
Why would you do it then?
But if you're doing something which could reasonably...
Yeah.
Like, the player says what they want to do, and the dungeon master can say it's impossible, and then you
Like
can't do it.
I'm gonna go squat 500 pounds. That's feasible for humans to do.
So, then if something is possible,
Right.
but is not necessarily trivial,
Yeah.
there can be a skill check involved,
Alright.
where you would roll a 20-sided die,
Mm-hmm.
and then based upon the number of the die plus the modifier that's on your character sheet, based upon the stats you chose,
Yeah.
is determined whether you succeed or you fail.
Alright.
And, of course, the characters also have abilities, which you can use for certain things. And most of the dice come into play in combat.
Okay.
So a combat round usually goes that if it's your turn, you have an action, a bonus action, and movement. Movement is just the way you move across the battlefield. It's just to determine how far you can move.
Alright.
So
I've got one more question soon, but alright.
the most relevant thing is usually the action, which is if you, for example, have a weapon,
Yes.
you roll the d20, add your attack bonus, and that determines if you hit based upon the armor class of the enemy.
Yeah.
And when you hit, you roll the die specified by the weapon to determine the damage. So, for example, if you attack with a greatsword, you roll
Okay.
2d6s
I think I get the combat system.
plus the bonus.
Is it turn-based?
Yes.
Alright. So that's... Okay, so I pretty much get the combat system. It's like... Okay, 2 more questions, right? Before we end this topic. Because people have already switched off anyway. We're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, for fuck's sake. Okay. Can the Dungeon Master, or like the person who like controls the story, can we just make up anything that we want? Like the story goes any type of way, or is there a certain type of limit that we need to adhere to, like medieval stuff, or can we just bring up anything? Like, could I just be like, suddenly tornado appears, a zombie apocalypse outbreak, baseball game?
So the Dungeon Master can theoretically do whatever he wants,
It's pretty good. I would like to be that guy.
but normally it's assumed that you do it within somewhat reasonable parameters.
It's assumed, or
Because, okay, say, like you suddenly throw like huge natural catastrophes
yeah,
or stuff like that at your players and
But
you
I
kill them all.
could make stuff.
Then the players would at some point not want to play with you anymore,
Of course.
which you wouldn't have group anymore, and that's kind
Which is my goal at that point. Okay,
which is what the game is about. But
I
yeah.
think that's not gonna be the best role for me, because that's what I would do.
Yes.
But could I make it all about, like, for example, here's the thing, right? Could I design the whole, basically, adventure around the baseball game? It's like, roll this die, and depending if you roll a high number, you hit the ball or you don't.
You could do that. You could simulate
pretty good.
sports games with Dungeons and Dragons rules.
That's pretty good.
The rule set is not necessarily meant for that kind of stuff,
But you could do it.
so it will be a lot of ability checks.
But if I'm the master...
You might want to play another system for that, which is more laid out for that type of stuff, but you could definitely do it within that system.
Yeah. Alright.
And there have been people before who have, in role-playing games, implemented different types of sports.
Okay.
That definitely has been done.
Here's the thing, right? I need to play that game at some point with you to kind of get what we're talking about, because it still
Yes.
goes mad a little
It's
bit.
really hard to just explain in theory. It's
Okay, one more
way easier to pick up once you're playing.
Right, you got one more question, right? When does the game end?
There is no necessarily set end for the game,
9 innings?
but if the Dungeon Master designs a campaign, for example...
You didn't get that one.
What?
9 innings. That's when a baseball game ends. After
Oh.
9 innings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, the Dungeon Master creates an adventure.
Right.
They usually have like a final encounter in mind, and once you beat that, the game will be over, and you would have won. Or you would have died in the process.
Alright.
If you have a pre-built adventure, that also usually has an end.
Okay.
By nature, because it's printed in a book.
Yeah.
Can't be infinite.
Yeah, I guess. But you can make up your own stuff.
Yes, and you can definitely, if a campaign would theoretically be over, you can definitely continue playing with the same characters and just continue the story.
Alright.
For me, I would say that a logical end would be once the characters reach level 20, which is the maximum level,
Alright.
and then have done some stuff then. They can maybe earn some extra rewards. Like, at some point, there's not a lot more they can do, and then it's basically pointless to continue with those characters.
Okay, I see. So we need to clip this at this point, I believe, because we've been rambling on for a while about this. But, okay, 2 things I've been taking away from this, right? I definitely need to play that game to understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
And our female audience percentages dropped from 0.0% to about -25.
And not necessarily, actually, role-playing is definitely done by both genders.
That came out all the wrong way, you know that.
Yeah, kind of.
You know what? Continue.
But, for example, in the group that I'm
What's
currently...
the point of doing that by yourself? Am I right? It's like, yeah, continue.
The group I'm currently Dungeon Mastering for actually consists... The players consist of four dudes and 1 woman. So,
Alright.
there's that.
Fair enough.
And other prominent groups, for example, I think the most recognizable right now is Critical Role. It's a show...
Roll or roll? Like 2 L's or L and E?
LNE.
Okay. It could have been rolling the dice. Critical roll. When you're rolling the dice and it's really critical that you get a good number.
Yeah, critical hit is 20. It's when you have a critical roll. Wait, is it?
Yeah, that would be a critical roll. It doesn't matter who you are.
It doesn't matter right now.
Austin. Okay.
So
you need
they,
to...
for example, also have like 3 women and like 5 men, 4 men. Anyways.
At some point, you need to teach me this game, and you need to take me to one of your gameplays, and I'll join y'all.
Yes.
And I'll like beat everyone. Like be great at the game, because that's what I do. Like I can tell it's not my type of game because it isn't competitive, and I'm a competitive person. I like to always compete with anyone, and the kind of like compromising type of gameplay, it's not necessarily my thing. I like to compete, but I will give it a shot. So thanks for explaining this to me, people out there. Have you ever played this game? Are you planning on playing it now? Are you even further away from playing it now that you've heard JJ talk about it?
Again, explaining it just in words is not
apparently
easy.
So apparently you need to play it. Next time we're gonna do a topic about this at maybe at some point in the future when I know the game, and then I can like kind of talk about the learning process of it.
Yeah, sure.
Why not? Okay, so we are approaching almost an hour right now, so let's get out of here as soon as possible. Not as soon as possible, because we're gonna take some time to leave you on a high note and a musical pun. The song of the week.
The song of the week.
The song of the week. My favorite segment every single time. You start, or should I start?
I don't care. I'll just start.
Start.
My song of the week.
I know it.
Is yes.
It's Centerfold.
Exactly. It's Centerfold. By, I'm probably gonna butcher the name, J. Giles Band. J. Gales Band.
J. Gales Band. J. Hales Band.
Sure, we'll go with that.
J. Hales Band. This is gonna sound horrible on the audio.
Which is...
I'm gonna have some fun editing that to the point where it's presentable.
Which is a song that I've recently rediscovered, and I like it, so... It's my song of the week.
Rediscovered? You need to show that to me, maybe I know it. My song of the week is probably the oldest song that I ever brought up, and probably the oldest song that we're gonna ever have. It's Rockin' Robin by Bobby Day. Do you know that song?
No.
I'm gonna play that for you once we get up the air. I think it's from the 50s or something. It's pretty old, but it's kind of one of those really old school type of jazz type of songs that are really cliche, which they use in like shows a lot. Like I literally I discovered it through Family Guy.
Okay.
Because I used it once for like a stupid compilation or montage or whatever, and that's how I discover songs sometimes. All right. So listen to both of those songs. Also love how in the first podcast we said that we were always going to link our songs in the description. Never did.
We never said that.
Did we ever say that?
I don't think we ever said that.
Did we not?
I don't think we did.
Okay. If we did, then people are going to point it out. But here's the thing, right? We named you the song and the artist.
Just type it in the YouTube search bar because you're on YouTube right now.
Look it up. You would be on YouTube as...
Assuming no one copied our videos and uploaded them somewhere else.
Like they copied our videos and embedded them at some type of different...
Why would you do that?
Stealing our content.
Yeah, but we're not even famous.
Are we not?
Not yet.
Define fame.
Don't go there.
Exactly what I thought. Okay, so takeaways from this episode. I would be good in the zombie apocalypse, and JJ would be there too. I know Doctor Who, and JJ just doesn't believe it. Microphones are white, but it says blue on them. You need to play Dungeons and Dragons to understand what it's about, and we like old music.
Yes, and don't try to define words. It's a pain.
I like it. We like being technical about stuff.
Yeah, I know.
We always do that.
But definitions are always a bit iffy.
Yeah, because usually there's more than one definition to a thing.
As we've seen with the apocalypse.
You know, I like
which apparently is just the same as Revelations.
Let me not get into how many definitions there are for the word murder. Like, there is a lot.
Okay. Let's not go into that.
You know what? Let's get us out of here before we reach an hour, right? JJ, bring it in.
That's it.
That's it.